Great. So yeah, we are off to the races with the Virtual Advisor version 4.3 features update webinar.
Sounds great. Well, welcome aboard. I'm Tom King, and we'll be taking you through a demo here today of all the new features, along with Andrew Becker, our developer. And we'll kind of both be chiming in today as we go through a good handful of the features of the new version of Virtual Advisor. Some great stuff that clients should really see some benefits heading their way. So we'll kind of dig right into it. Andrew, anything off the top that you want to hit real quick? If not, we'll get moving.
I think you're good to go.
Perfect. So one of the things that you'll notice with the newest version, and it started to filter in a little bit towards the end with the previous version, is that there is a global search feature up at the top right here. So you're easily able to navigate through to find an individual, and it will, with the global search, it will search all the different fields, everything from users to the actual people that have filled out the quiz, and you can click on any of those to take you to their quiz or take you directly to that individual. So the global search feature, really handy feature for those people trying to find either a pathway, a person, and not having to sift through hundreds, if not potentially thousands of leads that you have in your system. So if you did lose the original email lead or got disconnected with it somehow and wanted to print the copy of their report, the global search feature is a great way to find their quiz or their pathway results and print them or utilize them moving forward. So having the global search, a great new tool. So we'll kind of take you over to things that you're fairly used to right now with Virtual Advisor. On the left-hand side, you will see the people that have filled out your quiz. They are normally in order of start date, but again, you can change those orders from last modified, progress score, names, or emails. But one of the new features we have as well, too, is you can also toggle the information you want to see displayed with that individual. So right now, it's showing their pathway name and their current step. If you want to see their lead source, you can toggle that on, or when they started it, and even when they completed it. So you can have all of that information at your disposal. You can turn those on and off through this. As usual, too, anyone who completed the quiz all the way through to the bitter end has their score in the green circle. Anyone who abandoned at a certain piece, still the blue progress bar, and anyone with a green dot next to their name is still actively taking the quiz. Those have been pretty standard. The PDF function, very simple. So if you do want to print out or at least download a PDF, simply click on the PDF button. It will create a PDF of the quiz and download that here, and you can open it up. And one of the things that has changed with this new version and an improvement that Andrew's made is that the fonts and some of the graphic icons are a little bit larger here. So as you go through the PDF, it's a little bit easier to read. In addition, we've also added the exact start time on here and completion date and time to their PDF so that you can see that information. So a little bit larger font, a little bit larger icon, and as well the start date and time of the or completion time of the individual through that PDF. So an easy way to take those PDFs. You will also notice a much improved filtering tool up in the upper right-hand corner here. You can change the filters, and all of the different answers have been provided. Simply pick the pathway that you're using, number one, and then you can filter based upon any of the answers or questions that are in your quiz. You can use those as a filter tool. No need to filter based on the campus question because we have automatically added campus drop-down here. So if you just want to filter on a certain campus, because I just want the results from the Houston campus right now and program, those don't need to be used up here with the specific questions. You can actually pull them right here. So if I wanted to see anyone in the aesthetics program in Houston, I can apply that filter, and it will filter through and pull those just those results in. You'll also notice that as those results are pulled in, you can still change from the time period from yesterday, 7 days, last 30 days, this month, last month, or a custom range can be changed here. And then you have a little quick easy on and easy off filter section here. If you want to just totally clear the filters, you can click right here as opposed to going back into filters. You can also reactivate the filters right through here and change any of those on or off that you may want to. If you want to remove any filters, it's simply click the X next to them. And then you can add, again, any questions that may be any answers that they may have, and a simple one button to clear those questions. You can also filter based on progress. So if you want to filter based on scores, you can set a range. If you wanted to just look at scores from 22 to 77%, or anybody under 90% who maybe potentially didn't complete the quiz or scored fairly low and you want to address them specifically, you can do that by using the slider here. And you can also filter on a variety of other fields from status and lead posting and so forth, and then click on the filters button. One thing that you will find that's new and improved in this version as well is the ability to export to a CSV function. So simply by clicking the export, it'll let you know what that you're exporting those results to that CSV format, and it'll download those into a PDF or into an Excel spreadsheet or CSV file for you. So I'm currently downloading these, so we'll give it a second to do that. But it's an easy way to export those results so that you can filter and then be able to create either an email list if you want to do an email blast, a call list for your reps based upon those individual filters, or by campus. So it's an easy way to make those lists for you. So simple export button right next to the view filter button on the first page. Something that we brought back into use is using their social media pictures and profiles as well. So you can see here with Andrew, I'm going to clear these filters real quick. So looking at this particular quiz, on the right-hand side, you can get any picture that may have been associated with their profile, any of their social profiles, as well as links to any of their social media profiles or social media pages. So if you want to improve your contact rate, you can click on that information. And so if they have a Facebook page here, you can simply click on that, be taken to their Facebook page, and they can Facebook message them right through that application. So it's a pretty good feature. We've been really working with clients to utilize some of these social media outlets as a means of communication, and seeing great improvements in their ability to connect with the student as opposed to just phone or text. Andrew, anything else on the main results page here?
I think that's it. I think you've covered it pretty well.
Perfect. So we'll move on. We'll get to the statistics section here for you. So most people are familiar with their statistics section. Again, you can change the date here, date range that you're looking for. If I'm looking for the last 30 days, you would select your individual pathway as normal, and you can see your activity on a daily basis. You can see the step abandonment section right below, so you can see where they may be abandoning your quiz. But under the scores, you can filter through. Again, you can utilize this to look at the score distribution. You can also set those filters. If I wanted to see just the distribution for a particular campus, I could do that. And I can either add to that filter or clear that filter off. And then the answer section, which is really an excellent tool for most of the directors of admissions and directors of marketing to use. Admissions managers, we work on this to do a lot of training on what the typical prospective student may look like, but we also work with the answers here as far as what marketing tools we may want to use in campaigns based upon the type of demographic information that we've collected. So again, when you go into this, you will see all of the different answers for all of the campuses, but again, you can use the filter and filter through those. So if I just wanted to see the Houston campus here, I'll get just the results for the Houston campus. If I want to dial in more specifically too, I can also look into some of the additional features. So if I want to just look at working, people who said they were working from the Houston campus only, I can pull their data up over the last 30 days or more and look at their results. So each campus may have a different demographic. So now I know that someone who's working, or the working prospects we may have from Houston, what program they most typically look at, as well as what research they may have done, any other products they're looking at, whether they're happy with their current work situation or not, and really what they're looking for. So each campus has its own demographic to a large extent, and you can utilize the filter tool to really hone down and data mine all of the information you have within the virtual advisor system for that pathway. It's an extraordinarily useful tool, and for those campuses that do have multiple campuses, or those schools that have multiple campuses, being able to filter easily by campus and or by program and other types of answers that they may have. You can add as many to data mine down as deeply as you would like, as well as look at any of the other types of filters here. So an extremely useful tool that's been added in here. So you've got a little enhanced filtering here on the statistics page, which will allow you to get some great results to help determine your marketing campaigns, and again, some admissions training strategies. Andrew, anything on statistics addition?
You know, a really good use for the answers filtering is to filter by program. Say you're writing, you have a marketer and you're writing copy for, you know, your cosmetology page, your medical assisting page. It's a really good idea to come in here and filter on that program and just see, you know, what that demographic is like and what their pain points are. So it can be really helpful for when you're writing content for your marketing.
Yeah, no, great. And it's a super tool. I don't think, you know, as many people utilize that as possible, and it's worth its weight in gold. So being able to get into the statistics here, answer, and use some of the enhanced filtering will give you a good leg up on your marketing and give you some great things to train your admissions reps on so that they have a good understanding of who the client and prospective students may be. One of the features in that really not something that we can demo as well, but to bring into the discussion here today is, with the new version of Virtual Advisor here, we are also able to preload values from other pathways. So if, as a client, you do have multiple pathways, let's say you have the career readiness quiz and you also have the admissions interview pathway, you can preload information from their readiness quiz into their interview pathway, which would save a little bit of time and keep you from having to re-enter similar information that you've already collected on the prospect. So a great new feature to be able to pull in that information.
Things like name and email and phone, common stuff, but also interesting stuff like perhaps their social style, if you want to bring that up in the interview to figure out what kind of program you want to recommend for them, or things like the closest campus to them and what program they're originally interested in.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's we'll move on to the pathways.
Sorry, Tom, just to interrupt, just before we move on, I wondered if I might, I think I might unmute our guests here and just see if we have any questions for what we've covered so far. And then I believe, yes, I believe you can unmute yourself. Okay. Oh, great. So yes, I believe all of our guests here, you have the power to self-mute yourself. If you don't want to be unmuted, you don't have to be. But I've given the option here. So if you do have any questions, feel free to jump in. Great. Sorry about that, Tom. Feel free. Go ahead. Tom? Oh, did I mute Tom?
Ah, you did something my wife has never been able to do, and that was to keep me quiet for a while. So.
Oh my goodness! My apologies, everyone.
So excellent. We'll keep moving on. We're moving fairly quickly through this, but again, if any questions, you can type them in the chat as well, and we'll try to respond to those. So as we get back towards the management section here, where you can manage your pathways or your users, programs, or campuses through this section, one of the features you'll find with the new version is when you do set up a user now, not only are you able to give that user individual permissions to manage user pathways or company, but you can also restrict their access to individual campuses, which is a great option for those schools that have many multiple campuses, and you don't want your admissions reps maybe cross-pulling from other campuses or looking at all the leads or information of students that have applied to other campuses. You can restrict those admissions reps to just their campus or one or two or whichever number of campuses you want. So you can click through here and save those changes so that that individual will only have access to individual or certain campuses when they're set up. Go back to the pathway here as well. One of the newer features as well that we've got put into here and is under the lead posting section. And a couple things that we started to implement towards the end of the last version, and some new things here, is we can have an email automatically sent to the user. So as a prospect is filling this out and they get all the way to the report page, we have an email that will automatically go out to that user, and you have the ability as the customer will work with you individually as a client to modify the body of what that email says. This is just kind of a basic email format, but we've got some enhanced samples for you, and we're working with everyone to improve these. So you can have some links to your Facebook page and some other marketing information into this body of this email as well. You can also change the reply to address. Right now it's coming from a virtual advisor email that, hey, congratulations, you took the quiz for that school. But you can add your email in here. So if you want to add an email that if they do hit reply to that, that it would go to maybe somebody in your admissions department as well. So that can be added. You also at the bottom have some additional filtering. Andrew, maybe this is a good spot for you to kind of jump in and kind of go through some of the additional filtering that they can do with these emails.
Yeah, sure, I can speak about this. So what we've done is we've expanded our filtering capabilities when making lead postings, either when we're sending emails out or even when we're posting into your CRM. So now we can do things that we always could where we filter on campus or program. So if you want certain reps to get email notifications for only their campus. We can hook that up so that they don't get email notifications for other campuses' leads or irrelevant information for them. And we can also filter on answers like we could before. But now what we can do on the right here is, if you see where it says progress in between and score and lead source, we can now send emails out depending on how far along the quiz they made it. So we can set things up now where if they don't get to the report, we can nurture them a little bit and email them and say, hey, you got 50% of the way through, but you didn't quite make it to the report. You're so close. Come back. It's only going to take 5 more minutes. Here's a link. And we can kind of nurture them back into the process. And we can do that for whether or not they made it to the report, but also whether or not they booked a tour. So let's say they leave halfway through and they get the nurture email saying, hey, come back and get your report, and they come back and get the report, but they don't quite book a tour, and they leave. We can also send them another email and say, hey, you're this close. You got a 90% score. We really recommend you come and book a tour and talk to us, and hopefully that'll catch a few more people.
Yeah, so we've got that set up in here. So again, if they, as Andrew's mentioned, this would be just a sample of what it would be. Thank you for taking the quiz. However, we noticed you didn't complete it. Please click here to return your quiz with a live link to get right back into their quiz as well. And then that is set anywhere from the register page all the way through support system, which is right before the report. So obviously they didn't get to the report. That's what we set up down here. And they will get that email as well. And we could do that by campus and send a reply to from the rep that belongs to that campus as well. So you could have the same email go out based on campus and have a different reply to as well. And the nurture to book a tour type of an email, which is basically, hey, come back, take your tour. So we use the filter at the bottom here. Anytime that they've gotten to the career readiness report and next step. So they obviously didn't take the next step, but they got to the report. So we're inviting them to come back, click on a live link to book the tour and actually set the tour date and time. So we're hoping that these will help push those people a little bit farther through your quiz and improve the number of people not only getting the report, but improve the number of people that are actually picking a tour date with your school. So it's a great new feature, and we'll be rolling these emails out to you as we go through the next couple weeks here. So as a new client with us or an old client who's on this system, we'll get these nurture and emails set up for you so that you can take the most advantage of them that you can. Andrew, anything else on the management section here?
Yeah, if you want to go back into one of the lead postings here and just show the filters again. Sorry, for the lead postings, where you just were?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. One of the things we could do now is, because we can filter on all these extra properties like score and lead posting, if you guys want to have like a special email inbox for people that have 90+ score, and you want to hit those guys right away, and maybe you don't call the other guys right away, we can do that. So you can kind of have like a bat phone line where really hot leads come through, and you can make sure that you handle those right away. We can also make sure they're posted into your CRM with a higher priority if you guys want to do something like lead scoring or prioritization based on any of the answers they gave or the score they got. We can accommodate that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've got a good number of clients that have asked about that, especially if they're looking for someone who has a high school diploma or a GED. We could certainly filter those out and make sure that those, and has a score of maybe 90+. You can make those a higher priority and get those sent into your inbox. Great. Anything else on the this section?
I think that's it.
Andrew, anything else overall that you want to comment on?
I think you've pretty much covered everything that's new. Why don't we see if we have any questions?
Yeah, okay. I'll try to unmute anyone who wants to be.
Any questions out there on anything that you've seen so far, or anything that you haven't seen that you're concerned about or looking to get more info on?
Hi, yes, this is Gina. Can you hear me?
Yes, hi Gina.
Hi, I'm curious. So you were saying that there was a way to be able to set up the filters to trigger directly into our CRM so that those could kind of have a priority status if they had, like you know, the example you showed was fulfilling the GED in the high school and say they had, you know, a high score on the quiz. There's some way to automatically have that trigger into our Campus View system so that there was a status for the ARs to be able to identify?
Yeah, that sounds like something we could do. I'm not 100% on what that would look like in Campus View, but we could work with you to make sure that those are flagged either with a higher priority or a special status so that you know that you can differentiate those leads versus the other ones in your system.
Lindsay, are you on the line? Was that something that we were hoping to try to work through as we were looking at, you know, what's the best way to see if we can seamlessly integrate this in a way that works for your team?
But good. Yeah, so as Andrew said, and we can change it, you can either have an email notification or it can go right into your CRM. So with Campus View, it would be something we would have to work with you on. But as Andrew said, that certainly is a possibility.
Okay. Thank you.
Good question. Any other questions? Awesome. Andrew, any last comments on it?
I think that's it. You did a pretty good job of explaining it. Thanks, Tom.
All right. Well, we appreciate everybody tuning in. Katie, I'll let you sign us out. And any other questions, certainly address it to us here at Enrollment Resources, and we'll look forward to working with you in the future on some of the newer things that we're working on.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. As Tom mentioned, if you have additional questions or if it's regarding the new features or anything to do with Virtual Advisor, please do feel free to reach out. That's a huge part of the Virtual Advisor team experience is the support and advice and tips of how to get the most out of this system. It really is a partnership, so do please feel free to reach out. And we have recorded this session, so that recording will be available if you want to check it out. Maybe, Tom, did we go over the help section?
No, I'm glad you brought that up, Katie. So the last thing we'll touch base on, and Katie was talking about needing some help as well, is a new and improved help section. So if you click on the help section now, there's a lot more information organized a little bit better for you here, so you can ask a question to our team as well. There are several different pieces of information on the different pathways, some of the training available as well, and there's also a few videos on here. So there's one on using social styles. There's also on how to use Virtual Advisor to set more appointments. So it's a little bit of an appointment setting training session. So there's some really good stuff now that have been updated into the new knowledge base into the help section. So if you're looking for any of that information, you may check here first and sift through it and maybe find your question answered there. So yeah, great idea, Katie, of hitting help.
Yeah, and I really find one of the greatest resources in that help section, in addition to things like help logging on or things like that, is just some of this great insight from Tom in terms of, things you can use, ways to use your Virtual Advisor reports to do things like set appointments, or tips for using Virtual Advisor when you're setting voicemail appointments, that kind of thing. So these ways about using it to improve your touch points and your conversions.
Yeah, we've got some sample appointment setting call scripts in here that you can utilize. So if you're looking to make some improvements or struggling on how to actually use these leads to its optimal result, then take a look at some of the scripts for VA leads, which do differ than using the same scripts that you would on a normal prospect from your website.
Okay. Well, if that covers everything to do with our new features, we won't keep you any longer. You can get back to using your VA and running your schools.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, everyone.